Hello, YouTubers. This is Willie Cartwright coming to you again from my YouTube channel, From Saved to Sane. Again, this is Willie Cartwright, the facilitator and speaker on my YouTube channel, From Saved to Sane. So today I wanted to talk to you about the difference between atheist and non-believer. The reason why I wanted to do this video today is because I wanted to, again, separate out the differences between what we would consider to be a person who is an atheist and a person who is a non-believer. And the reason why is because I've come up against this in conversations quite often with people who are trying to, I guess, put me in a label or label me and my beliefs. And I tell them all the time that I am a non-believer, but I don't consider myself an atheist. And some believers who hear that I'm a non-believer will try to label me as an atheist. And for me, there is a difference. So I wanted to come on today to talk to you about what I believe the differences are and why it's important, or even if it is important. So first, let's begin with trying to define what an atheist is and what a non-believer is. So let's begin with a non-believer. My definition of a non-believer, and the definition that I use as a workable definition, is anybody who does not believe in any type of deity or supreme being. In my case, I don't believe in the Abrahamic God. So to me, a non-believer is a person who don't believe in the Abrahamic God or any other supreme deity of a organized religious group. More specific, I use non-believer to differentiate myself as a person that no longer believes in the Abrahamic God, the God of Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Now, an atheist, and I've talked to many atheists, and I come across basically two working definitions. The first would be, atheists describes themselves as a person who believes that there is no God, period. Nothing else added. They just don't believe that there is a God in the traditional sense of God, or any God for that matter. I shouldn't even say that. It's just they don't believe in anything that we would define as a God. The second definition that I run across from an atheist is those who say there hasn't been enough evidence presented to me that makes me believe that there is a God. So that definition is a little more wiggle room in that definition. To me, that implies that if there is enough evidence ever presented to that individual, that individual could be convinced to become a believer or a non-atheist. So those are the two working definitions. One of what an atheist is and what a non-believer is. And so as I said before, I'm making this video because in a lot of my conversations and social media posts, a lot of believers, more specifically Christians, will come at me and say, well, since you are a non-believer, you are an atheist. Even if I tell them that I'm not an atheist, they will again come back and say, well, you are an atheist. And so let me get back to, again, let's talk about our definition of God. First of all, we understand, at least most of us understand, that God is a Greek word. And God means a different thing to different people. Traditionally speaking, the background that I come from as a Christian, as a Southern-born, Southern-bred Baptist Christian, God only meant one thing. It meant the God of the Holy Bible. Jesus is part of God. God is part of the whole Trinity. That is the only thing that we identified as being God. Now, there are other definitions that people use. People use higher power, divine being, universe, love, almost anything else as their definition of what God is. And I don't have a problem with any of that. And we will talk about that shortly here. But I think the important thing is, let's talk about why I don't call myself an atheist. As I mentioned before, I do not believe in the Abrahamic God as we read about it in the Bible. However, I am not ready to say that there isn't a higher power, something that we don't quite understand, something in the universe that is more intelligent than what we are. Even if I'm allowed to define God as unknown or infinite knowledge that we haven't acquired as of yet, that would be part of my definition of what a God could be in this particular situation. So the difference, I think, even if I acknowledge that there is a possibility there is a higher being or something in the universe or infinite knowledge, and people give that stuff the definition or the title of God, where I think I disagree with a lot of people is whether or not that source or whatever it is plays a major role in the day-to-day activities of our lives. And that to me is the most important thing. When I left Christianity, I came to the conclusion that there is no being sitting on high judging us and playing a role in our day-to-day life. I don't believe that there is an entity sitting on high judging us or deciding whether or not to show favor on our lives or blessing. I don't believe that there is a God that helps us to find our car keys or help us to get a promotion at the job or help us to pass a test or anything like that, any of our day-to-day activities. I am more inclined to believe, again, without the lack of a better word as other than God, I am more inclined to believe in universal energy, untapped knowledge, infinite wisdom, something that is extremely beyond our total comprehension as a possibility of something bigger than ourselves. Now, whether you define it as God or not is up to you. I don't define it as a God. I don't like using the word God in that sense. So I don't. Now, and I think the most important thing about my beliefs or lack of belief is that it does not matter to me in my daily life whether or not there is a God or not. I don't live my life every day as if there is a God. I take complete responsibility for all the things that happen in my life, whether good or bad or different. I take complete responsibility. I don't look for a God to save me. I don't look for a God to favor me or bless me. I get up every day. I do the things that I think are right. I do the things that I think will benefit me as long as I'm not harming anyone else. When I left Christianity, once I realized that there was no such thing as the biblical heaven or hell, it freed me up mentally, emotionally from that, what I would call a prison of sorts, that had me always concerned with, am I being judged? Had me concerned with, if I do this or if I don't do this, what are the ramifications? What are the divine ramifications from an all-knowing, punitive, jealous God sitting on high looking down? When I realized that being did not exist, then it freed me up. So I don't live my life with a concern with what happens to me or my soul, so to speak, when I die. Going to heaven or going to hell plays absolutely no part in my life. And that is freeing. It is extremely freeing. So to kind of wrap this up, I don't consider myself an atheist. I do consider myself a non-believer in those terms. I do not believe in the biblical Abrahamic God of Jesus as a divine deity. I don't believe in any other deities from any other religions. I am more inclined to believe in infinite knowledge, energy source, the universe, and things that we are yet to come across or to have knowledge of. And I don't define those things as a God. I do believe in some of the principles of, I guess, I wouldn't say the secret, but I believe that you can attract the things to you that you want by how you conduct yourself, the things that you do, how you present yourself, and basically the energy that you give off. I believe my wife and I were attracted to each other because of the energy that we gave off, and that we attract, I believe like attracts like. I don't know what one would call that per se from a scientific standpoint, but I do believe in that. To me, that has nothing to do with what a God is. And so finally, if I had to be labeled, I definitely would consider myself a non-believer. I definitely would consider myself a skeptic. I definitely would consider myself a humanist. I would consider myself a person who is always seeking knowledge and understanding, and a person who's just open to the possibilities of everything. And the things that I've ruled out are based on my research, my logic, my reasoning, and my studying. So that's pretty much it. If you have any concerns, please, or any questions or any comments, please send your comments to me. And if there are questions, I'll definitely respond to those questions. But that's pretty much it. Again, Willie Cartwright from Saved to Sane YouTube channel. Thank you.